is, and we'll be going. The photo you see in front of us was the kickoff from a 200-teacher training session with Shelton School of North Dallas, which engaged us just a half a year ago to create a full kindergarten through 12th grade solution that will bring coding skills to a school that needed badly to bring it to a very creative population. So as we started to see our pipeline of demand growing larger and larger, with more demand coming from schools like Greenhill, Hockaday, those are schools that will have us over the summer, and increasingly public school districts that are talking with us about creating custom offerings, we realize that this is where our true market lies. Oh yeah, and there's another thing that was kind of the wake-up call for us. You see those two bars of revenue that look relatively similar a year apart? That's a sign to your company that you should look at diversifying your market focus and stepping away from a place that you might be maturing. Welcome to the pivot. What that looks like is this. If we approach schools with a model of content that's relatively affordable, and those numbers up on the screen, when we've tested them face with educators, they've proven jaw droppers as far as affordability. Combine that with the fact that there are 132,000 schools in the United States and about $634 billion spent in school districts, we think that that's where the future lies. The other nice thing is this. I like a model where your production costs scale very gently out of proportion to your profitability. That's what we'll be looking for. And that's the kind of return that we think will speak well to investors. $50,000 per unit to sell it, about $600, $700 per school to add, and the rest is pure profit. It's a good model. So this position right here is where we are on the growth trip. What we found as soon as we publicized our arrangement with Shelton School was the day after one of their competitors from across town came to us and said, hey, kindergarten through 12th grade, computer science and coding curriculum, we want that too. The meeting happened 2 weeks later, and we're starting to hear from more and more public school districts that are targeting niche areas that are hard to develop content for, but very valuable economically. I won't say the district, but we're having a meeting next week with a school that wants us to create a digital learning academy, computer game design, iOS app design, that whole universe of skills, which we know are very valuable and great for the future. So, with that as the spin, our model's near-term targets involve closing what we have in the pipeline, reaching out in a very systematic way to sell one product over and over again. We know that we have other competitors out there, and we can talk later about what differentiates us. Principally, lower cost and higher impact in terms of the quality and the usability of the content for industry. We have a great board with nobody famous on it, except maybe for Steve Hayes, so I'll skip. And we're pleased to have raised about $750,000 so far. We are in fundraising mode again, and we're targeting that towards a very specific B2B focus so that we can expand a great product that scales nicely. So welcome to Tech EdVentures. We would love to power innovation tomorrow, starting today. Thank you so much. You're going to switch me out?
Yeah, so we can do Q&A. That's in case you want to go back and do any other slides. So,
who wants to see Jeff Bezos back on screen? Not me.
All right. You're going to be second question. First question is always, what can we as a community do to help you?
Okay, what can you as a community do to help me? Number one, I'm looking to speak with people at school district and superintendent levels. My LinkedIn has been very active in that space, but I'd like to have quiet conversations that aren't about pitching and more about digging deeper into need assessment. Oh, and we're fundraising, so that's say no more. And we are fundraising. I'll let you guys take that where you know that goes. Questions?
Thank you, Alan. My question is, and you kind of touched on a few of what I'll ask about, but first is what's your differentiator in terms of what's your IP? You mentioned Lego, for example, and I'm familiar with what the MIT Media Lab, Matrixniks group do with MIT, and then the similar to what you're trying to do. What inspired your curriculum? Is your curriculum unique? What is your real IP so that it can stand out against your competition? And yeah, I think that would be.
No, it's a great question. So Legos is a good example. Educators hate Legos. They're expensive. If you lose a piece, the whole set falls apart. It's a $350 investment for a single user. We searched the world over and found something that's better for a third of the price if you want to, just in the realm of robots. The big differentiator for the couple of things that I put up on the board, there's a lot of drag and drop coding that's out there, like the Scratch, the MIT Media Lab. Great product, great way of getting kids into coding, but you will never get a job by learning how to drag things around a screen and click them into place. You are still a user and not a creator of a technology platform. We start teaching Python to kids in 3rd and 4th grade. You don't drag things around the screen, you sit and type. You bang into syntax, you bang into how to structure loops and how to structure variables. We push kids to dig into the real deal of computing, which is hitting a keyboard and figuring out how to structure a program, or structure a problem into something that's a bit abstract. The other part of the IP that's important is my PhD is in education, and I have 2 decades of education work. So learning styles. The tech is easy. Code is not hard. Everyone knows that. Teaching code to children that are very tangible and physical and how they interact with the world, that's hard. So we use tools and teaching methods that really, the last school I was a headmaster of, I was in Palo Alto. We worked with Stanford, there is a way of teaching this, but it's not usually done. So.
Can I have just a quick follow-up? What has been your measure of success in terms of, yeah, I can understand. To me, and I'm just purely theoretical, if I teach Scratch to kids, my measure of success that I have introduced them to the world of coding and prepared them for when they're at an older age to get to something like Python or PHP or whatever it is. Now, what has your measure of success been, and is it serving the purpose that you set out to serve?
Two measures of success. They're a little soft, but they're very good. Number one, quality of output. Kids create things that actually work. They're apps that work, and as far as we're concerned, we think kids can present to schools later. They'll be applying to scholarships, et cetera. Working in a Title I school now of not very well-off kids who have walked away with apps that work. That's number one. But number two is attitudinal. A great body of the educational research suggests that at early ages, throwing that switch of attitude, saying, number one, I can do it. Number two, it's going to be hard. I'll mess up a bunch of times, but I'll stay in the ring. That is the success predictor. And we're filtering out, just by way of not exposing kids to this, the vast majority of people who could be successful, and they have to play catch up. So quality of outputs and attitude change among very young learners, I'm talking 5 years old and up, is our target.
All right, next question.
Hi, I'm Chirag. My question is about geography and how much of the vision for Tech EdVentures is about kind of impacting the local market like you guys have been, which is amazing, versus scaling beyond Dallas and talking to school districts outside the state, et cetera.
So I love the geography question. Even as just yesterday, had a conversation about getting a volunteer day from Tech EdVentures to Frisco ISD, which has a specific high school for kids that are at risk of dropping out of the system. We're going to be doing a day-long robotics deal for them on the 12th, which is also a good entry, by the way, to Frisco, which is a hard district to get into. But the larger picture, we're responding to about one RFP every other day around this time of year. The last one that we just pushed out was a 500 district user collaborative. There's another that we're FedExing out tomorrow. It's another 700 district arrangement being fronted by Texas schools. We have found actually Texas is such a strong state that if we just focus our marketing in the entire state of Texas and then all the things that thread out from that, that is the way out. I am not going to run to California. I am not going to run to New York. No need. Trey must be delighted to hear that. No need. No need whatsoever. And the interesting thing as well, and for us, and especially with Per Scholas coming up in a second, the places that knock on our door the hardest when we go to conventions, they're in the Panhandle. They're in the far Southwest. They are underserved as far as having enough resources to create things in-house, but enough to bring us in as a contract, enough to get the job done. And man, think of the economic impact as far as doubling and tripling your tax base if you can extrapolate this out. That's what we want to do. So we love it from the profit side. We also love it from the kind of social impact on a state that just continues to go as far as its potential.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right, next question. All right, back to you.
Hi, great presentation. As someone who is in a similar field, how are you marketing or presenting this to children who may not know that they would enjoy it or haven't been exposed to it in a level, for their age group?
Yeah, it's such a great question, and that is one of the breakout points that, as we talk to investors for next step in funding, we're really going in, we're investing primarily in our content development right now, but the messaging out needs more bandwidth, so we're limited in that. But that's why they call it a startup. I get that part. We have an interesting conversation going with a couple of foundations now, and we've actually set up a partnership with a not-for-profit group locally to work as fiscal partner for us. I won't say the names, but one has about $7 billion of assets. We're actually looking for the right district partners to come and say, hey, we love this, we will jump in. Can we parlay that into a conversation? So one of the things I should have added in, I have an email live in my box from the Texas Instruments Foundation right now. That was not the $8 billion guy, but another foundation. So they're going into their grant making cycle. They're interested in talking to us, but they only want to talk to us if we can come with a partnership with a district that will massively implement, will truly test and bring out to scale. So that's the inefficiency right now. That's why the problem is there in the first place. Districts are not being nimble enough, they're not being creative enough in their search for partnerships, but the money is there and the tools are there. So your question is great. I don't have an answer, but that's the hill we're climbing right now, so thank you.
Austin. Just a quick question. I actually want to know, how many kids have you guys served so far?
So we're moving towards 4,000 kids that we've served through what I would call our business to consumer marketing channels. But as we came in this year, when we added Shelton School, that's another 1,000 users right there. So that number is going to scale up as we connect with who we think are our true natural partners, which are medium to larger private charter schools and public school districts that can touch more kids. So yeah.
Hey, my name is Rocky. I don't know if this is tied into the measure of success answer that you gave, but I had a question on, have you been able to figure out or test if the kids are actually gaining the proficiency skills that you're teaching or the program you're providing, that you can see there's carryover moving forward, that the kids actually have learned it to a level that it could be applied later on in life? And how do you gauge the feedback from these kids at a later time, or if you're creating a program to figure this out, if the program even worked in the first place?
No, fabulous question. And here's another thing that we're missing, and glad to speak to that cleanly and honestly. One thing that we would really like to see is a partnership with the university locally to actually take someone from their engineering and education departments, sit in the back of the room and do a study on us. We think that's really worthy of serious work, because anyone who does this knows that you can make whatever moves you make in the classroom. You can actually test the quality of classroom teaching. You see how effective it is. So we are hungry right now for a partnership with someone who will come and study, explore, and let the cold hard facts stare us back in the face. So don't have a perfect answer to that question yet, but that's how we would like to get there and learn a lot in the process.
Hi, I'm Jeff Winkler. I'm a former high school theater teacher. And dealing with this, your type of product here, we got to see a lot of that coming in. One of the biggest issues we ran into was the curriculum becoming dated very quickly and not being updated. And a lot, especially when you brought in full curriculum, most of the stuff we saw come in was like potentially like smart boards or other type of, some type of technology with it as well. But then they didn't maintain the curriculum that went with it. How is your plans to maintain the curriculum, keep it up to date, meet the standards of each different state? Is the Texas standards different than the Kansas standard versus California standards?
Okay, great question, amazing question. As a company, public pledge, we will never print a book. One more time. We will never print a book. All of our content is nimble and digital. That's number one. Number two, part of the founding pieces of the value system of the company, we don't get hung up on hardware. Hardware is a distraction. It's a dangerous distraction. Smart boards are the great example. $5,000 per classroom implementation. It sits there dead and becomes a fancy LCD projector if you don't use it well. There's all kinds of dangers to hardware. Here, I walk around with toys. Here's a piece of hardware that we love, and we just discovered it a couple of months ago, and we've already worked it into our curriculum. What is this hardware? It's called Microbit. BBC made it. You can code it in JavaScript, you can code it in Python, it has LEDs, it has a near-field Bluetooth antenna, accelerometer, temperature sensor. I've already coded one just in a couple of spare minutes where you can have two of these talk to each other across the room just by pinging buttons. Cheating just got a lot more fun. By the way, all right, so for a board that's basically a tiny Arduino that you can program in Python and JavaScript, okay, survey the room. How much does this board cost? Yell it out.
$2. $5.
Yeah, okay. About 20, okay? That's the price point. That's the price point, because if you want to put these in the hands of a lot of kids, well, they'll get stepped on. So what? If a $20 board gets stepped on and you break it, you tell kids, fabulous, you learned lesson number one. Don't step on the board on your way to coding. The hardware has got to be affordable enough and nimble enough to not matter. It's all in the design. Because what goes into this, the Python that goes into this, is the same Python that you can use to pass the Google coding exam when you get that far in the interview process. That's what should matter. Hardware is always irrelevant because it will change so fast. So agreed.
When you do find your district to partner with and you're educating every kid in that district on coding, not every one of those kids is going to grow up to be a coder. What's the benefit to the kids that grow up to be something else? Bingo.
I sweated through algebra. And then I even pushed myself into calculus without the expectation that I was going to be an engineer. Well, little did I know that I was sort of going to become an educator for engineers, but I didn't know that back then. I didn't learn this stuff so that I could launch rockets into space. I learned it so that I could become a literate person who was empowered and able to participate intelligently in the economy around me. If you don't know code right now, you are functionally illiterate. You might be functional, but you are certainly not on top of the food chain. Imagine what your lot is as a CEO. If somebody in your tech department shows up and says, oh yeah, it's going to cost you $3.4 billion to do this data scrubbing exercise. If you know nothing about code, you write that check. If you know a little bit about code, you can at least ask intelligent questions. We want people to be empowered even if they're not experts. And honestly, look at the numbers that came out a couple years ago in Silicon Valley. 3% of the workforce, the coding workforce, was African American. 3% was Latino. In California, hello, who's not getting on that success bus? We think there's a lot of people getting pushed out of the power track. We want more people on that. So that's the answer.
Awesome, thank you. And I think we're out of time, actually. Thank you for the questions.
Thank you all.
Okay, this is the time that we have our sponsor minute. Okay, so we have 4 sponsors for the month of December. Kurtu is always with us. Those are the treats that are being provided by Rachia's company. If you haven't had a chance to try these, Transylvanian treats, you will want to check them out. And then we also have the DEC. The DEC is the space that we're in right now, the Dallas Entrepreneur Center, which provides a lot of support for entrepreneurs. This is a great place as use this as your resource. On Wednesday, we have free co-working space. The back table is just facing straight ahead of me, so you are welcome to stay and hang out for the day. Thank you, Trey. And then we have Got Next Media, Freddie Streeter. He's on the 1MC team as well. So if he's providing the copy for us this month. If you have any questions about his media company, certainly see him. And actually, I'll invite you to the stage, Freddie, if you want to say something for 30 seconds about your company. You are welcome to do so now, while he's making his way up. Next week? Okay, sure. And then we have Michael K. Bruno, and he's providing the video for 1 Million Cups Dallas. So if you go to our website, you can watch the playback for anyone who has presented here. So thank you, Michael, for providing that. And just one second. And we also want to give a shout out to High Brew Coffee. They're with us once a month, and they're with us today. So if you'd like to have a sample of their coffee, they're providing tons of it. So feel free to try it. Okay, so Alan's saying try the vanilla. Okay, that's good. Awesome. So without further ado, we will welcome our next presenter again with a round of applause. And if you don't mind standing up for Jessica, that would be great. Jessica's with Per Scholas.
Hello, my name is Jessica Serna and I'm with Per Scholas. We are a nonprofit organization that is committed to providing transformative technology careers to often overlooked communities. So you've heard from the presenter, there's a lot of opportunity that has not been provided to many populations in Dallas. And so 28% of the population in Dallas is working below a livable wage. And when you take into account children, that percent could be as high as 25%. On the other end of the spectrum, technology is booming. In Dallas, new jobs are opening up every day. In fact, maybe a little too fast because the universities can't keep up with the demand for tech talent. And so that's where we come in. We provide tech training to individuals so that they can then go work in these tech companies. And this really just came about because we believe that everyone deserves the opportunity to have a career where they feel empowered and can experience financial freedom in a career that they are proud to have. And so the way that we've done this is we have worked with technology companies to identify what skills can be taught and what skills are most relevant for people to learn. We've then gone and created a curriculum that we can teach in the shortest amount of time. We train individuals and then we go and place them in tech companies, and we do this at absolutely no cost to these people. So currently what this looks like is we have a 10-week entry-level IT training program, and in 2018 we are ramping up to have a networking course, as well as we have partnered with Cognizant to create customized training tracks where people will gain the skills to then go work directly with Cognizant. And so we started 20 years ago in the Bronx and have since then expanded to Columbus, Cincinnati, Atlanta, DC, and 2 years ago we came to Dallas. And one thing that we've really prided ourselves on is our results and our reliance on data. So we have done several studies just to prove that we are in fact creating an impact. And because of this, we have been recognized by the White House and Times Magazine and several other publications. And it shows in our numbers. So 85% of our students who enroll graduate, 80% go on to get jobs, and then 75% of those students are retaining those jobs a year later. What's even better is many of these people, they don't have college degrees, they've been working minimum wage jobs. In 10 weeks, they can go from that minimum wage job to having the ability to be making $14 to $17 an entry-level job, even going on to make more. A year later, once they've gotten skills, they're getting raises, they're getting promotions, they are continuing to receive education so that they can be making a salary that they never would have considered before. And another thing that we are solving is the diversity issue. So it's no secret that the tech industry lacks female voices as well as racial minority voices, but our students make up 90% of that population, and so we really are proving that we can solve the diversity issue in tech. People are there, they want to learn, they're hungry to work in the tech sector. And so essentially, we need your help. We've been very fortunate to be able to create such an impact in our community. We've been in Dallas for 2 years, and so sometimes we are a little bit of a secret. If you work in a low-wage job, you've been told, unless you can get a college degree, you don't have many opportunities that are available for you. And these people, they don't have the time or resources to commit to a 4-year degree. So we need people to help spread the word. We need people to invite us to be able, we need people to help us spread the word and to help invite us to speak to these people. We serve anyone, we work with anyone who's a high school graduate all the way to a workable age. And then as we continue to serve more individuals, in 2018 we will be hiring, or we will be training a larger amount of people, so we need more employers who are willing to hire these people. And then lastly, we are always looking for financial support. We are currently running an end of the year giving campaign, and we would appreciate any amount that you guys would be willing to donate to our cause.
So the first question, as always, what can the community do for you?
Yeah. So I talked a little bit about that, but essentially, you guys should all have connections. You guys all interact with the person who, serves you your coffee in the morning, to the person who checks you out at the store, to your friends who are looking for the next opportunity. And so just being an advocate to them is probably the easiest way that you can make a difference in Dallas and the community, just sharing what we do and how we can help. And also encouraging people. Again, not many people have been able to understand what it really means to work in technology and how that's exciting and how that's a career. So really sharing that opportunity with other people, talking to employers. If you have someone, if you're hiring for a tech position, reaching out to us. And then, again, financial support is always appreciated.
So what's kind of the history? You might have gone over some of this already, but kind of how Per Scholas got started at the beginning.
Yeah, so we started in 1995, and this is when computers were expensive. And so what we were doing is we were refurbishing computers and then putting them back out into the community for people who didn't have access to them. However, as we were doing this, you have to train the people to refurbish the computers. We weren't keeping those people for very long because they were then going out into the workforce. And so when computers got cheaper, we started switching into workforce development. And then 2008 is when we first started expanding into different markets.
Hello. Over here. Fine. My name is Tyler. Currently in the United States, I believe it's about 1% of the population is homeless. Roughly somewhere between 2 and 3 million adults are in prison. 1 in 52 adults are on probation or parole, and many of those don't have a college education. Is that something that Per Scholas is looking into, helping these kinds of people? Because many of these people, and a disproportionate amount of these people, especially by percentage, are people of color. And so these people, when they fall in this kind of situation, or get themselves in this kind of situation, afterwards have nearly no recourse but to go back to that kind of life and complete that circle of criminality that happens. Is that something that Per Scholas has looked at or is interested in at all?
Yeah, so Speaking of the population who has been previously incarcerated, essentially the tech industry, we need to start having conversations because the tech industry is not willing to hire those people most often. And so we cannot serve these people until the tech industry is willing to take a risk on them. And so we are always willing to start that conversation and to help people with that. As far as the homeless population goes, our program is 10 weeks long. It is rigorous. We need other services to help these people, but we are helping people who are working in these minimum wage jobs to be able to move up into more of a livable wage and middle class and an upper middle class. But there is a cycle that people really have to go through. When you're homeless, you have to get stability. Once you get stability, you get that first job, you can work into getting a higher career. It really is just this pathway that anyone has the possibility of achieving.
So, here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation, and I do acknowledge, I have to say that this is a Dallas, Texas presentation, and you're calling on the Dallas people to help. But I am vaguely familiar, if we want to take it, kind of outside of only a local scope, with some effort being actually carried out today for refugees globally that actually have been displaced and lack some of the workforce development effort or the standard education. Is it in your, have you been approached or are you open, or is it within your modus operandi or operating model to work and collaborate with others that may borrow from your experience? How portable this is to a global audience?
Yeah, so we currently do expand into certain markets based on the demand. We partner with organizations, so essentially if an organization is looking to train people so that they can hire them, so for instance with Cognizant, they need quality engineers, they need technical support specialists, we've developed that curriculum so that they can hire that talent to make sure that they have the necessary training. Actually, so Megan Bridgman is also here, and she's our managing director, and she would be probably the best person to speak on that.
My name's Chad. So, quick question about curriculum. Tell me, give me a high level of the sequential flow, maybe the curriculum that you put them through, and then quick question also around cost. So, is there zero cost to the attendees, full nonprofit, or something?
Yes. So it is absolutely no cost to the student. We provide the textbooks. They have access to a computer with their class. We help get them an industry recognized certification, which costs about $400 that we actually pay for them to take and be certified in. As far as the curriculum, so what we offer is the A+, and that is a help desk support role. It's entry level, and it has to do with troubleshooting the hardware and the software of a computer. So we'll take them through a 10-week course. They start off learning how to take a computer apart, put it back together, all the troubleshooting issues. Whenever you don't know what's wrong with your computer, you'll take it to someone else. And these are typically the people that are fixing that. And then, as I said, we are working on additional curriculum that has been implemented, for instance, in New York, which is networking how computers talk. We will be implementing that in 2018, as well as will probably be a technical support specialist role.
Cool, thank you.
Hi. Where are you getting your instructors from? Are they volunteering? Are they paid? And a lot of your curriculum, from what it sounds like, a lot of the curriculum can be pulled down from YouTube. Is that what you're kind of utilizing in free courses like that, or?
So our curriculum has been developed by our New York staff. Our teachers are paid staff as well. And so usually what has happened, especially in Dallas, is these are previous students. So they've actually gone through the course, they've learned how to get certified, they understand the pain points of the students, and so they're able to best relate to our students.
Hi, I'm Mark. One of my concerns when I hear that the classes are completely free is that the perception is, well, it's free, if I don't show up I didn't lose anything, and those kinds of things. What's your success rate in people actually that start versus finish? Is it, and have you thought about having just a very small fee so that at least it's something that's a commitment and they feel like they have to follow through?
Yeah, so 85% of our students who enroll graduate, and we have a very strict process. So just to get into the class, the interview process involves several interviews and several tests to ensure that they are interested. Our first week is what we call zero tolerance policy. Our students are expected to be in class every single day, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. And we weed out people who are dedicated in that interview process, as well as that first week of class. And so, because they've worked so hard to get into the class, many people aren't going to back out. And unfortunately, these are people who have other life situations going on. So I will say that people who typically don't stay in the class, it really is due to health situations or unfortunately tragic situations.
Hi, kind of two questions, but where are the classes held? And then who's hiring your graduates? What are some of the employers locally or nationally that are taking the people that graduate?
Yeah, so we are currently located at the City Square Opportunity Center. In early 2018, we will be transitioning to actually pretty close to this area in downtown Dallas. As far as employers, we have a broad range of employers, but our students have gone on to work for the Federal Reserve, they've worked with tax systems, they've worked with smaller companies, they've worked with school districts. So there really is a large range of employers who are hiring our students. But they do typically, in Dallas, they're typically getting Dallas-based jobs.
Any more questions?
Yeah, if you guys want to give any feedback, we'd appreciate it.
Okay, well with that, thank you so much, Jessica. Can we give Jessica a round of applause? Just give me a minute, I have a couple of announcements. Thank you. Okay, real quickly, I didn't mention this earlier, but if anybody's planning to stay here for the day and you're co-working and you've parked in the staff lot right behind this building, you cannot park there, you will be towed. So if you're parked there now, you will want to move your car, please. This is the group, this is the team right now. So if you see any of us, we welcome a conversation with you. If you're interested in knowing more about 1 Million Cups, please see any of us and we'll help you out with any questions, especially if you're interested in volunteering in the future. As a reminder again, we are closing out 1 Million Cups on December the 13th as the last session, so we only have one more left this month. We are not here December 20th nor the 27th, and we are back on January 3rd. We are planning a funding event, so just kind of putting that into your mind right now that you will want to be here towards the end of January. I think it'll be the second last week, the second last Wednesday of the month. We'll be talking about traditional funding options and also new options and what's trending right now. So you'll want to be there. We'll have an awesome panel, so more information to come in the weeks ahead. And that's pretty much it. Thanks so much for being here today. We appreciate your time, and we hope you have a great Wednesday. See you next week. Thank you.